Hello everyone and welcome back to Anuradha and Harini's innovative channel. Today we will be continuing with the chapter The Russian Revolution. In my last video we spoke about conservatives, liberals and radicals and how their ideas differed from each other. In this video we'll be going further into the chapter. Come on and follow me in my journey. So now we'll be learning about one of the very prominent revolutions in Europe. That is the Industrial Revolution. So let me tell you that we are talking about the entire Europe. We are not talking about any particular country. And this entire continent of Europe was going through the time of economic and social change. That means the societal structure and the way of governing a country was completely changing in the continent of Europe. This stated the beginning of one of the revolutions in Europe, that is the Industrial Revolution. What do I mean by an Industrial Revolution? Actually, if you go to see, the main reason for this Industrial Revolution to occur is the railways expansion. Let me tell you one thing, that in any continent or in any country, once the railway starts expanding, no, the entire industries start expanding extremely rapidly. So that's what happened in Europe. The railway started expanding, new cities started coming up, and new industrialized regions started developing. So men, women, and children were pushed into factories for low wages. Now, if you look at this line, you will think that there is child labor because the children were also pushed into factories. But let me tell you, it is child labor. But at that point of time, no one actually knew what is child labor. No one knew that children of below 14 years can go for work. So these people, they were paid for low wages. Now the liberals and radicals, who were the factory owners, felt that the efforts must be encouraged so that the benefits of this industrial development should be passed on to the workers. So these people believed that whatever profit we are getting or whatever benefit we are getting because of this industrial revolution, it has to be passed on to the people who are working for us, or the workers who are working for the profit or the factory. But you might have noticed that every kind of revolution has its pros and cons. So even this revolution, that is the Industrial Revolution, had some problems. Now let us look at those problems. First of all, work hours were often long and wages were poor. What do you understand by this? I'll give you a small example. Imagine that you are a laborer who is going for constructing a building. The owner says that I want this building to be constructed extremely beautifully. So you work day and night for that owner. And what do you expect? That after the building is complete and after you give a beautiful bungalow to that owner, he will give you a good salary. But that was not the case in Europe. Though the people used to work day and night, their wages were very poor and it was not matching with the amount of work they are doing. Unemployment was very common and it was particularly during the times of low demand for industrial goods. Let me tell you one thing before understanding this, that in Europe at that point of time, population was increasing rapidly. So there was a competition between the laborers, and that is when unemployment became very common. Many people were not employed. Housing and sanitations were problems since towns were growing rapidly. That's been a problem for a very long time, wherein housing and this way the people live, that is all not actually very sanitized over there, because the towns were growing rapidly and everyone cannot afford the same, right? So these were the problems of this revolution. But as I told you, every revolution has its pros and cons. So there were some solutions also for these problems which helped the industrial revolution to go further and succeed. So now I told you that this revolution has so many problems. Its working hours are too long and they're paid very less wages, etc. Now let's learn what kind of a solution did they get and why did the Industrial Revolution become so successful. So first, the very main people who were involved in getting the solution were the liberals and radicals. In this chapter, conservatives are not seen too much because they did not do much of things for Europe. Liberals and radicals were the most important people for bringing solutions, for even bringing problems. So now, liberals and radicals noticed that all the industries who are giving the problems for industrial revolution were based on individual property. So I told you at first only, these people were against individual property or private property. But there is a small twist over here, that liberals and radicals themselves were property owners and employers. So there were different kinds of liberals and different kinds of radicals. Some liberals believed that there should be no private property, but some liberals and radicals themselves were property owners and employers. So after they made all the profit and all through the trade and the industrial venture, suddenly they felt that this effort of the workers has to be encouraged. That means we cannot always hide the profit from the workers and give them low wages. They have to be encouraged so that the benefits in the workforce will be achieved. But this can only happen if the economy is healthy and citizens were educated. Let me tell you one thing again over here, that education plays an important role in any kind of work you do. So if the citizens are educated and if the economy is healthy, then the benefits of this industrial revolution would be achieved. Opposed to the privileges of the old aristocracy had by birth, they firmly believed in the value of individual effort, labor and enterprise. It's the same thing like French Revolution. The three philosophers stated that the people's position must be based on their merits. The same way these people also had the same idea that how much of a work you do, how much of a labor you give, and that is what is going to affect your wages or your salary. If you do well, you get a lot of salary. If you don't do to the extent, you get poor salary. If the freedom of individuals was ensured, and if poor could also labor with high amount of wages, and those with capital and could operate without restraint, these liberals and radicals felt that the societies would develop. But for the societies to develop, these many points have to be ensured. Let me tell again, freedom of individuals has to be ensured, poor could labor with high wages, and those with capitals could operate without restraint. If these three things are achieved, that means society would develop very soon. Many working men and women, now where are they working? They're working in the factories for low wages and long hours. They wanted change in the world, and they rallied around the liberal and radical groups and parties in the early 19th century. So liberals and radicals, though they were trying to find a solution for this problem, many of the men and women who were working in those factories, they felt that we want to change radically in this world. We do not want the world to function in this way, wherein we do the work, we do work day and night, and you give us low wages, housing and sanitation is not correct. So that way we are not going to work for you. You have to change this world, the way the world functions, radically. So now we are coming to an end of this video session, but before I end this video session, I would like to give a small recap about whatever we have learned in this video. First point, Industrial Revolution was the most prominent revolution in the entire Europe. New cities, new industrialized regions started developing and railways expanded, and as I've told you, once in a continent or a country railways start expanding, the entire industrialization starts increasing rapidly. So this railway expansion led to the Industrial Revolution. This revolution had its problems and solutions as we discussed. People working in the factories were made to work for long hours but were unfortunately paid very low wages. Housing and sanitation was very poor. But here is the solution for it. Liberals and radicals got out these solutions. They stated, in short, that if freedom of individuals was ensured and if the poor could labor with high wages and those with capital could operate without restraint, this society will surely develop. So this was, in short, what the liberals and radicals told for the problems that were coming up due to the Industrial Revolution. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you liked it. If you like it, please like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any comments or any doubts, please post it in the comments area. Thank you, and meet you next time.